Hey again, it's John with the Blood Angels Commander channel. So today we're going to check out another Outrider from the Indomintus box. Yeah, they are easy to build sets, which isn't great for customizations, especially if you're trying to do something non-Ultramarines or non-generic. So we're doing Blood Angels because they are the best faction in 40k. So yeah, I don't think we're going to say much more. Let's jump straight into it. We'll do another one. We'll see what we can customize with them, and hopefully it looks cool in the end. All right. Alright, so for this one we're going to do the one that is on the Beast Brew. So we're looking for E1 and E2. So it's these ones. So yeah, I guess these are all going to be fairly similar to each other. So the captain wasn't wearing a helmet, and he had his chainsword attached to his leg. I believe these guys will be wearing a helmet, so I mean that gives us the option of some Blood Angels helmets or some other cool helmets to make them different. And hold on, we need 3B and 3A, so this is B here. 3A is going to be here. So yeah, so we've got the helmet options, but I kind of feel like I want to see if we can do something with their weapons as well. So the mistake we made last night was should have put the Marine in before we put the sides on. So we're going to cut the Marine out as well. He is E6, E5, E7, because you need to put the backpack on as well. Otherwise you're going to get stuck. So E6. I'm just going to twist this one, sometimes that can be easier. E5. Twist that one as well. E7, which should be a backpack. E7. And I think it wants you to put the handlebars on as well, because I think we made that mistake last night as well. We've got 24 and 22 left, and it wants E10. Well, that can't be right. Oh no, okay, so it is 10 here. The numbers for the something else are right next to it. Okay, and then the side bits as well is E11 and E12. E11, E12, these two bits. So yeah, I mean, although they are easy to build, they're not. Do you know what? I think easy to build is the wrong word to describe these actually, because easy to build usually means that they have like 4 bits, or like, I think I bought an easy to build dreadnought and the whole dreadnought was 13 pieces. Well, we've already got 2, 4, 6, 8 pieces here, just for a biker, and we're not done because we've still got arms and legs and other bits. So I think easy to build is the wrong word. I think lack of customization is what they are. I mean, they're nice models, don't get me wrong, but yeah, you're never going to get the customizations in the big core boxes, or whatever you want to call them, like the edition boxes. Like, they're never going to have customizations, there's too many factions. What I did really like was, like, shortly after they released 8, they did like Blood Angels Hellblasters, Blood Angels Aggressors, and what you got was you basically got the set you basically got the set that, you know, like an aggressor squad with customization options, and the Blood Angels part of it, which usually only added a couple of bucks, meant that they just threw in a Blood Angel upgrade sprue, which is normally like 10 bucks. So you saved some money, and you got, I think the aggressors were quite cool. Like, I want to say the aggressors even came with, like, the Blood Angels aggressors I bought, I think came with like special shoulder pads, because the aggressors wear different shoulder pads to normal Marines. And yeah, I mean, those were really good boxes. And while there's nothing wrong with the core box, you're never going to get customization options in there. I just didn't think they'd be quite so easy to build. Well, I keep saying that. I didn't think they'd be quite so limiting in that, like, the arms, it's really the arms and the shoulders, right? Like, that's the thing you can customize the most with the Marines. And I don't think it would have been a big ask to not have the shoulders baked in, because then you can do a lot with that. But then maybe I'm the weird one here, right? Like, I've got like 10 boxes of models here that are, I don't want to say they're not needed, right? Because, like, I bought that Sanguinary Guard because I wanted the wings to put on some characters, because I thought they would be cool, so I bought those. I bought the Death Company because I needed, like, some different weapon options on the Death Company. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, I bought the Sternguard Veterans to get the combi weapons for a kill team. Yeah, so I mean, I guess it is what it is in terms of, like, maybe most people probably don't have as many options, and maybe most factions don't have as many options as Blood Angels, but that's just the way it goes, I guess. So at the moment we're just quickly cleaning up all the snibs that we took off, because when you... Shit, have I lost a piece already? Oh no, I didn't. Why did I not take off 12? I got distracted. But so yeah, I never bother about being too accurate with the clipping. I try and be decently accurate, but because we clean it all up, then it just means you get it off the sprue that bit quicker. Alright. And then this bent, the one on the captain, or the one that... Yeah, I guess he was the captain because he was the unhelmeted guy. The one that we did in the captain last night, I bent this in some horrible way and really thought that it might have damaged him. So we'll try not to bend this horribly tonight. Some of these ones on the bike are quite tricky to get off. I mean, I took this bit off the other bike last night because I thought it was maybe just like a really badly cut mould, but when I'm seeing it here, I can't decide if there's supposed to be a little ridge. I think there is actually supposed to be a little ridge at the front of the bike, so we'll leave that on this one. Do you know what? If it doesn't look good, we'll stick something to it, like a Blood Angel's wing, or maybe we can stick on one of those, like a little grail or something. Okay, so we're about halfway there with cleaning them up. Ow. Yeah, I don't know what the best tool for doing this is. I said on my other video that I like this really. I don't even know if Kitchen Devil are still a brand, right? Like, that's how old this knife is. I feel like it was from the mid-90s or something. Maybe even earlier? Nah, probably mid-90s. So I guess they hope... Well, I don't know if they are still a brand, but basically what you need to do is you need to find the oldest knife you have, like the oldest small knife you had, and just borrow it, and then whoever's the knife it is, like your wife or your family or whatever, you just buy them a better knife for Christmas and you keep this one for modelling. I mean, this trusty knife as it happens, I feel like it's going to last forever. Alright, just the body left. These contact points actually go inside, so you don't need to worry too much about those. And the backpack. So I actually almost I'm almost like cutting these off like they're bits of butter, just so that you get a nice smooth surface, or you just sort of I mean, you could probably do this with sandpaper, but I'm not sure you would get such a fine finish as you do with the knife, because the knife will just take off exactly what's. Yeah. It takes off a very small amount. Alright, so handles, body, the main bike and the wheels. Right, so we did one of these already, so we know what we need to start with. Start with the wheel, and get a little bit of glue on the edge of the rim of the wheel. And then it goes into here. I will quickly grab my balls. Come on. It's just not lining up quite correctly. There we go. Where is it? Here. Grab a little bit of tissue paper and stuff so that if there's any excess glue we can just get rid of that real quick. Okay, and then the back one, they only go one way because you've got a thick one, and then the bit of the tyre that's cut off goes inside. So in that sense it makes it very easy to know where to position the tyre. So that's actually a really easy part of the model, so the tyre would just go in like so. There's a little nuke that goes into the base, would obviously point down the way, so you can't really get that wrong. And then we'll go round just the edges of this, because when I pushed them together last night there was a little bit of a seam along the middle, which is fine I guess. Maybe with some paint it won't be noticeable, or maybe you can use a tiny bit of green stuff or something. It tends to be like tanks and stuff seem to notoriously have the worst luck when, I guess it's just because the models are bigger, right? So that clipped together very easily indeed actually. Okay, and then the model won't stand because of these little nibs on the bottom of it, so we'll just put a little bit of glue on the edge of those. Tiniest bit of glue, and then it should just snap right into the space. I don't think it matters which way around it they go. And then the next thing it said to do was to get the body on. So again, tiny bit on the edges just to try and, because this glue melts the plastic, so we're just trying to make sure that there's enough to hold it, but also maybe melt some of the seams together so they're not as noticeable. And then if I was using the head that came with this, the Primaris head, we could have put it in already. I'm not using the Primaris head, so that's fine. We'll worry about, oh shit, and we need to put the backpack on at this point as well, because there's not enough clearance over this bar, I believe. There's not enough clearance to get the backpack on afterwards, so we basically had to snip the backpack last night, which is fine as well. I mean, it didn't damage it or anything, but it's probably going to go on a little bit easier now. So yeah, it was very quick to make. So he's on, so we just need the helmet and the side sponsons. So they'll only go in one way as well, so you can't really go wrong with them. And we'll put a little bit of glue around the edge there. I'm trying to think what's going to have contact. So this is going to have a bit of contact, so I'll put some there. And I think that's really all we need, because the rest of it should... Oh, and there's a bit on his foot as well, so we'll put that on there too. And then it's just a case of finding the holes, lining it up, and for there, make sure that you push in his leg correctly. Yeah, the back bit doesn't really need glued. I mean, last night on the other one I put the tiniest bit of glue in there. Maybe stick that together. Probably doesn't need it though. And then again on the foot, on the leg a little bit, and then just on the edge of these, because these will slot in. So this one might be a little bit trickier because we can't really see, but yeah, it seems like it's absolutely fine. And like I said, I'm going to run a tiny bit of glue down this middle join, and then I'm going to clean off the excess and hope a little bit of it finds its way into the line basically in between, and then that way maybe it'll just melt the tiniest bit and we'll just get rid of that horrible line that runs down the middle of the bike. So yeah, you can see the little glue. I mean, when you spray over that, there'll be nothing. I'm going to show you them sprayed later. So that's that. So yeah, at this point, what does it say to do next? You want the handlebars. You want a right arm, which is E8. E8. Almost away on the floor. And then you want a left arm, which is E9. And you want a helmet, which in this case it would be one of the Primaris helmets. So I don't know, I like the Primaris helmets, I do like them. Again, almost on the floor, so you can see the Primaris helmet, but because we're Blood Angels, that can go into a bag of helmets, which we have right here, and we'll pick something else that is cool. There's lots of options. Do you know what? One of the first helmets that comes out is this very old helmet that's been sprayed. It's got some sort of mad rim on it, but it does look like it could be quite cool. I've got another one in white actually that's just the same. We have, that's another Primaris helmet. We do have a chaplain helmet as well with like a the shroud on it. We might use this with the Judicator. We might see if that will work with him, because that would be interesting. We have some. We have a bunch of various other helmets. Trying to think if we want to go full Blood Angels or we want to. And then we have an unmasked Reaver helmet as well. Or I think that's a Reaver helmet with flesh above it. But I mean, how we paint it, I suppose, is up to us. And we've got a Psyker helmet there. Yeah, I mean, like I guess a bunch of the guys, I would just switch out their helmets. So we've got this little bag of helmets, but I feel like we've got another bag of helmets. Yeah, is this not helmets as well? Yeah, there's helmets in here too. Here's one that I mean, these guys are quite. I think this guy is going to wear this helmet. Okay, so and we don't have a lot of choice with this arm, I think, because it's a very short arm, and all it's going to do is hold the steering wheel, I guess. I mean, I guess like he doesn't actually have a gun. I would have kind of liked to have him like akimbo, like both arms are out. But the problem we have is that they've put his hand is attached to the handlebars. So unless you deleted the handlebars, and do you know what, I've messed up again, haven't I? Because I did not stick the handlebars in before. Idiot. So we're gonna have to snip this handlebar bit again and just whoops. Maybe third time lucky, I guess, on the handlebars. I mean, the glue will stick it, and it'll just take a little while to dry in the right place. Alright, and then we'll put on his arm that's going to attach to the handlebars. A little bit of glue on my fingers there, which can end up meaning that there's a little bit on the model. I feel like there's a tiny bit of mold line there, or just try and quickly take it off. Could just be a bit of dried glue now, I guess. Probably need to put a tiny bit more glue on the end there. Right. It's a bit messy, but usually if it's not too bad the spray off, that when you undercoat, you won't really know that you've had that mess. I hope you won't really know that you've had the mess. Okay, and then so his arm, it is his. This is a very strange joint, actually. But what I was thinking I would do was going to try. This is a sprue from a sanguinary priest. Again, it's annoying because he's got a really cool goblet, but the goblet has his hand attached to it. There's not many these days that actually don't have their hands attached. Like back in the day, you always had the weapons not attached. Like I'm talking talking ages ago when the models were when the bodies and that were metal and the arms and that were still plastic. I'm trying to get this sword out, it's very delicate. Come on. It's got this tiny little blood drop from it that I don't want to lose. Quickly try and take off these contacts. I mean, it's so small I can't even really see the contacts, or it's so delicate that I can't see them. Right. Okay, I think we're good. So this is a sanguinary priest arm, and you know what? It looks like it will fit fine. It might even fit better. So rather than use, what did it want us to use? We wanted to use E9, which is some sort of like outreach chainsword arm, which is kind of a cool arm. I mean, it's armoured. We might even put that on something else in this box, because I don't hate it. I mean, I don't hate many of the things, but do you know what? We're going to just take this whole extra. Always look away when you're snipping bits like this, like big bits, because they could go flying across the room, could hit someone in the eye. I have seen them literally fly across an entire room before. Okay, so perfect. If we... And there was a cool Blood Angel shoulder pad that came with this one as well. It doesn't have wings, but it is quite a big shoulder pad. Like it definitely shows off the Blood Angel, the wing. So I know it doesn't. Sometimes the ones that obtrude from the shoulder pad are great, but sometimes they can be too much. If we don't, do you know what? We'll put that one down there and we'll look for a Sanguinary Guard shoulder pad and see what that might look like. Let me put these heads back in here. We also have a beak head, which I kind of think is going to go in the Assault Squad. And we had an Inceptor head with the communications on it, so I thought that might be good for... we had the Inceptor head, which I thought we might... It'd be good for something. What? It would be good for the final biker. That was what I was going to say. Okay. Okay. Do you know what's interesting to me is actually I've got another one of these little things. So maybe all our bikers could be rocking the little angel wings on the back of their bikes. So I've already looked out a Death Company sprue because you get a lot of cool shoulders on the Death Company, and you know what, when I pick up the Death Company sprue now, I have just this minute decided that these are going to be Death Company bikes, because I've been running the Death Company recently and I feel like they're kind of overpointed. With the jump packs, they're so expensive now, and especially if you want to take some cool weapons, right? Like, I've been running them with bolters and chainswords and I still think they're overpointed just because they're not survivable at all. Like, the meta in Warhammer has moved on. The 3+ armor save of the Marine is not really that good anymore, and a 6+ feel no pain is, you know, like, well, you have a 10-man squad, but it saves you 2 wounds or something. It's really not a lot. So we're going to paint these black, or we'll spray them black, and we'll go with these are going to be Death Company Outriders. I mean, technically they can't be Death Company Outriders. I'm not sure. I mean, we've got Primaris Death Company Intercessors, but I just like having some of my army. I'm going to show you some of my army in other videos, and the army is very much focused around the 3 colours, which is gold, red and black, and that wasn't ready to be stuck on there yet, I guess. I mean, they talk about like modelling for advantage. Well, most of my models are disadvantagedly modelled because I just model them to look cool. This one's got a little dangly bit on it, so I'm trying to decide if that's what it's trying to do, is trying to put it on there and go, will that be okay? But yeah, do you know what the answer is? Yeah, that'll be absolutely fine. And we did already decide on a head, but now that we're going Death Company, I'm trying to decide if that head choice is still the best choice. Yeah, that is a flimsy arm, so it's just going to take a minute to set, but you can see the little blood droplets there. So we got a Death Company shoulder pad on. I am thinking, like I said, modelling for disadvantage, we'll put on a little, whatever this little thing is. It's like a little skull with wings, because that's friendly. As I say, in the grim darkness of the far future, there's only war. Last night we put a wing on the right shoulder pad that came out the Death Company box that basically kind of just gave that right shoulder pad a little bit more life, right? And made it a bit more like, hey, this is definitely a faction trooper. Now I do have transfers I can put on, but I was thinking maybe the transfers would go in these big panels at the side. Oh fuck, I just moved that arm. Alright, get this arm back on and then give it a minute, or maybe longer than a minute. There's a lot of glue on there now, and that I've tried to glue it 3 times. And you know what, I'm not happy with where the shoulder pad's sitting either, so we move it a tiny bit. Alright, attempt number 4. I mean, I don't think I need to put in any more glue, there's plenty on there. Right. And I want to angle his arm down a little bit because it's going to be a nightmare to paint if it's right near that handle. Okay, so we're good. We're going to keep that shoulder pad. I think we're going to have a rethink about this head. And if we go back to our Death Company sprue, yeah, last night we used one of these for one of the left shoulder. So do you know what? We'll take this and we'll use it on the we used it on the right shoulder last night. And they're just little accents that you saw. In the Death Company box, they were used on one of the guy's legs. But these will be quite cool. I have a nice style of getting these to look like feathers, I guess. We paint them with, I think it's Celestial Grey or Celesta Grey, and then we undercoat them with null oil, and then we dry brush them with Praxi White, and it really brings them out, and they really look quite cool. So yeah, I've put too much glue on there, so I'm just going to get rid of some of it, hopefully without touching that other arm again. I'm going to lift it off and clean off some of the glue. And sometimes it goes stringy. That's just a little bit of melted plastic essentially has become stringy is what's happened. Okay. So we definitely have him looking a bit more Blood Angels now. We have the wing on the shoulder. We have sort of the Blood Angel's horn with the blood drop. We have a Death Company shoulder pad, which will look awesome. We have a little skull wings on the back. So it's just a case of find this guy a helmet, I think. And like he's got so much Blood Angels on him now, maybe he doesn't need a Blood Angels helmet. I mean, you could use the default Primaris one, but I did have a Inceptor head. Is it an Inceptor? Like he's in communication with High Command or something. So now I'm not even sure who the captain is for this squad because they're both bloody badass. I'm just trying to see if this helmet will sit nicely because the easy to build ones have sort of like this blob under them where it basically raises them up a little bit. This helmet does not have that blob underneath it, which would limit which way he could face. So like I feel like sometimes like when you've got a character with a chainsword in his hand, sometimes you want him to make him feel more alive. You would have him rather than just face dead straight forward, because like dead straight forward sometimes just makes him feel like he's a model, whereas if he's like in more of an action pose. So yeah, I'm not happy with that. I mean, there's a trick you can do where you basically either paint in a little green stuff, or because this actually has like a hole that this marine's head would have sat in, which I just cut off. So hopefully I should be able to find it. Yeah, here it is. So if I take the bottom off this carefully, I might be able to push this upside down back into the hole to just rate. I'm going to use my knife because I'm going to need the precision. Damn it. When I cut it, I guess you know, like sometimes when you cut them, you're essentially it's gonna warp the plastic, or it's gonna reshape it because the plastic isn't super hard. Trying to turn it upside down. No, it's not going to turn upside down. Balls. Right, so what we're going to try and do is then cut even more of it off. And then maybe just if we just position that in there to raise it up, like it's literally going to raise it up like a millimeter or something, and then we try and put the head in. It's probably going to work better. I feel like if I could make it a tiny bit thinner. I mean, like each time I'm scraping that, I'm taking like nothing off of it. Like it's the tiniest. It's the tiniest, thinnest bit of plastic you'll ever see. I thought I dropped it there. Like look at that. It's tiny. Alright, we'll go for it. Sometimes with these things, with the conversions, you just need to say, I got way too much glue on that. I'm trying to just take a little bit of it with me. I'm trying to push it down as deep into this hole as I can, because we're just trying to raise up the tiniest bit. And I think I probably put enough glue. So a tiny bit more glue. And then we're probably going to have to hold this for a good minute or two. Or maybe not as long as I thought. And I kind of want to just push it down because and I'm going to try and turn it the tiniest bit towards the sword. I think I've moved that down. Yeah, I moved that thing last night as well. So I just want him to maybe look like he's looking in the direction of his sword, because he'd be driving that way, ready to chop some heretic in half, I guess. I think it's stuck. So here we go. It's not quite his helmet, his head's sort of like off to one side at the moment. It's still off to one side. They don't drop the whole model, John. Alright, I think we got the position that we wanted now, where he's like looking at who he's going to chop in half with his fancy blood drop chainsword. Brilliant. Probably shouldn't touch them too much more. So that is number 2 of Outriders. Okay, that didn't take too long. So we're going to get cracking. So we're going to get cracking on the last Outrider. They're pretty quick to put together when you know how. And again, we're going to try and do a little bit of converting here. So I guess the advantage of being the last one is we really don't need to look at any parts or anything like that. We just chop up everything that we think we need, which should be pretty much everything on the sprue bar the arm that we didn't use last time. So we might use the arm that comes with, and then maybe see if we can't add something to the shoulder pad. What that's going to be that we add is unknown as of yet, but we'll find something. I mean, the boxes that I've got, we always manage to find something, and we always have a bit of fun with it. So if you don't, I mean, almost anytime you want to do a squad of guys, you should almost just Kitbash, because I just find it so much more rewarding than just doing the ones that are on the box. I mean, sometimes we'll do the ones that are on the box, but if it's a cool unit like this, you know, and there's options, why would you bother? So there's a arm here that's going to hold the steering wheel again, or the handlebars rather. And this guy has a strange like the arm is built into his torso, so this might be interesting. And then all that's left on this huge thing here is a head here, so I'll take that for the bag of heads. There's also a Primaris head, obviously. Again, we'll take that for the bag of heads. We're probably not going to be wearing Primaris heads. And then there's the 2 arms, and it'll be arm E20 that we need for this guy. So E20 can go, and then another thing you do with sprues if you want to get rid of them and you keep something is just snib round them. So we just snib round that last component and throw it into the box of doom for the future. Okay, so we'll just shift everything to the side and then we'll get to cleaning. So I guess in most of the marine customization, it's always upper body you're customizing, right? Like, there is nothing to really do with legs, feet, unless you wanted to put them on some sort of like pedestal or jump pack or do something with their base. Then you're mainly looking to customize shoulders, weapon arms, etc. So I'm quite excited actually to spray these guys after we get done here, because I think the conversion on both of them has gone pretty well, and you know, by spraying them black I actually make more work for myself, because it's much easier to, my army is much easier to paint, the red is much easier to paint than the black. Because we have to edge highlight everything much more carefully with the black. With the red I use Agrax Earthshade, so we do sort of go in all the recesses and get all the details, because it's earth, because it's just a shade. If you miss a bit, it's not really the end of the world. Like it just looks fine. You you don't get the stain scrutiny as a black model. I guess like black and white are two of the hardest colours to paint, I guess. So, but yeah, these are Outriders seem pretty cool. I'm interested. My first game of 9th is going to be next week, so this is why I'm trying to like plough on and get some Outriders built. Really wanted to try them out. I always found attack bikes really useful as a Blood Angels player, and I mean Outriders have a similar profile. I'll let you know how they get on. But attack bikes for Blood Angels was much more like you're roaming the battle with like basically you don't care about anything but the multi-melta shot, right? Like you're just trying to send. It would always be 3 attack bikes I would do. You know, sometimes it did 2. I suppose it depended if I knew who I was playing and stuff. But yeah, so you'd be roaming the battlefield with attack bikes with multi-meltas on them, just trying to pop big things. Like I remember quite often it would be like there'd be a Carnifex or a Hive Tyrant. Well, just hitting it with like 3 multi-meltas really would either wound it quite significantly, or in some cases it could even kill it. But it was more like just a fast agile squad that isn't engaged in hand-to-hand, because obviously once you're in hand-to-hand you don't really have manoeuvrability anymore, you're stuck in locked in combat, etc. So I did use attack bikes for a long time in like maybe 4th and 5th edition of Warhammer. Took a break for a while between like 6th and 7th and got back in for 8th. So, but I mean I was originally in 2nd edition, that was the first box I had. And I mean I was trying to remember why I actually started playing Blood Angels, and I think the reason was in 2nd edition you got that handy guide on how to paint, and it showed you like how to paint the Gretchen, how to paint the Orcs, and then the Space Marine on that how to paint box was a Blood Angel. So I literally think that if that Space Marine had been any other faction, then that would have been the faction that I started with, because I just picked up the how to paint and saw, hey, that one looks cool, that's what I'm painting, you know. And then here we are 25 odd years later, and it's just like that. They're my boys. Alright, so we cleaned all that very quickly. We're actually going to clean this chainsword. When we get there, we're going to place this chainsword on and see what it looks like. If we can find something cool we can stick on the shoulder pad, then maybe we'll use this chainsword. But likewise, we may not. Right, let's stick the body together real quick. And notice that I've not put the head in, so that we'll figure something out with the head. I think this will actually be a more Blood Angels head, because the last head was more just something cool, where it was like these bikes are going to want to be in communication with the... They're going to need to be in communication with like High Command or whatever. I mean, in the board game obviously they don't need to be, but like for a lore purpose I think it's a cool thing to say, like, hey, the guy's got the cool helmet because he's gonna be getting orders, he's gonna be getting priority targets. I mean, maybe if they're Death Company, it's the chaplain that's talking to them, like telling them like, hey, don't go too crazy guys, or don't kill your friends, you may be Death Company. But yeah, so get this back wheel on. Like so. Then a little bit around the edges, a little bit on here I think. Nope, there we go. Really squish it together. You got that lovely poly cement glue smell going on right now. it's weird how the smell always takes me back to like the little study sort of room at my parents where I had like a tiny little desk, and I made my very first models. It's weird how music and sound and smell do that to your brain. There's like a part of memory that just instantly returns. Right, so this guy is actually kind of leaning off to one side. Interesting, okay. And this time, let's get the damn handle. Oh, I think I've already... No, I've not. I was going to say, I think I've already ballsed it up, but I think it's the next section you put on is when you've ballsed up the handlebars, so I think third time lucky we got the handlebars on. Yes, they're on. They went in and everything. So it's these side bits that when you put them on, your handlebars are screwed. And these side bits go in with the foot, the leg joint, and these long bits that go through. We're going to do the other side first though. The reason for, because I think these are thinner and they go into this one. So I think that'll just be easier to do first. Yeah, I mean they snap on really, really cleanly. Like, I mean, if you were a new player and you got this, then I mean this is so much easier than it was back in the day when. And is that snapped in? Yeah, I mean it looks good. Legs seem flush. Again, we're going to put the tiniest bit of glue in here just to maybe attach these things. I actually don't think that. Maybe it's in. Yeah. Unsure. If it's not in, but do you know what, if I just took it off this base one sec. No, it isn't in all the way. But it doesn't want to go. Why does not want to go? Oh, if I take that off, I'm definitely breaking it, you know that. Yeah. You can see here, there's the tiniest little gap. But there's no, I don't think there's any method to why there's a little gap there. And regardless of how hard I squeeze, I can't shift it in. Oh, okay. Wow, I really just had to squeeze that like Andre the Giant out of that. I was literally praising them 2 seconds before for how easy they were. Just shut my mouth. Okay. So this one has an arm that again attaches to the handlebars. Don't have much choice here just because we need an arm that attaches to handlebars. Like I said, it would be even better if it was just an option. But I have too much glue on there. So gently, gently, gently wipe it off. It's okay, I think, ish. Alright, headpiece. Maybe we'll do one with the wreath. I feel like the wreath always works well with Death Company. So, we've got one right here. This is actually a regular Blood Angels upgrade sprue, not a Primaris one. And we're not going to glue the head yet till we see what weapon we actually end up with. But that's something what it might look like with the old wreath. And he's got 3 blood drops on his forehead, so that's pretty cool. And so yeah, again, that definitely says to me he's Death Company. I think, is this bike leaning a little bit one side, or have I can't tell if because I took it off it. I think it's actually supposed to be leaning a little bit. Maybe. We'll go with it. It's a leaning bike. I think I got some dry glue on the metal thing. Okay. And this guy is going to potentially have the sword, which... Oh, really interesting. So his sword arm, sort of half an arm, I guess. He's got some sort of sheath over his hand as well, which I do kind of like. I'm really tempted to try something though. We'll take off this chainsword. Do you know what? There's nothing in them actually. I was worried that this Primaris chainswords would be a bit bigger. There's very little in that. So I think what we'll try and do if there's no other better option, let me just see what's on the other Death Company sprue. Yeah, I mean there's some knives and bolters. I've been meaning to make this Death Company for ages, but you know what? I'm glad that I didn't, because this gives us a lot of options. Yeah, so we're going to start by trying to snip this. So I'm just going to take whatever I can off to get better access, really. So I'm trying to decide. Oh no, it would go around that way. Okay, so I need to take his hand off as well. Is that attached to the hand? Yeah. Balls. So try and remove this bit from the hand. And then try and remove the hand itself. Do you know what? It came away reasonably nicely. Just gently clean that off. So what we managed to get is Blood Angel's wing and a chainsword. So if I could get rid of the top of this chainsword. So the trick when you're doing this is not to cut where you want to cut. And as I say that, I just make a, oh, maybe I'm okay. I was going to say the trick is not to cut where you need it. You need to cut a little bit ahead and then file it off. This is going to be really tricky because of the way that sticks out. Do you know what? I'm going to snip that bit off first then. Yeah, this is really tricky. Every time I cut, it's like trying to move down to where I essentially don't want to be cutting. So just take off a little bit at a time. I think I can make it here. Okay, clean this up and I'll show you what I managed to do. Now that I've done this and it's been so successful, I kind of want to make these the next guys on the painting table. So we literally snapped off the entire Primaris chainsword, so he's just got the hilt. So it would have been something like this, where the chainsword was attached. It took a lot of little cuts, but that's the way to do it. And then what we can do is we'll literally glue on. We'll try it now. Tiny bit of glue, because this is going to be really small and delicate. And I've got too much on there. The thing about poly cement is you can just take it off with your finger and just, it doesn't stick like super glue, so if you take it off with your finger, just wipe it on the paper towel and then you're good to go. Come on. I'm just going to have to hold this for like another minute or two, or just keep adjusting it and just keep pushing it firm. Yeah, look at this shit. We got a Blood Angel's Primaris Outrider arm. So, I think try and lie it somewhere where there's no strain on the blade. And so I guess what that means is we do not have a shoulder pad though for this guy. So we need to find something else. We decided on the wreath head, perfect. That would have been really difficult to get that shoulder pad off there actually, because it's like a hollow shoulder pad, so even if I'd got it off, I'm not sure how the arm would have stuck afterwards. So it was kind of like the best of a bad option. I don't think we have another one of those wing things, so we do have sprayed ones. And do you know what another option we could have is I do have some wings. These are off like a character that was never finished, or I mean I don't think there'd be enough room to put wings in there. talk about, what was I saying before, modelling for advantage. Well, there isn't enough room between his arm, but that would be modelling for disadvantage for sure. Okay, we need if we're going Death Company and the other two guys have cool skulls on their backpack, then I feel like this guy would like something on his backpack because he doesn't want to be left out. So this is another little Death Company / Blood Angels backpack thing. Also going to be very difficult to get on, but that's fine. Yeah, I'm painting these guys next, I think. I had thought I was going to be painting next, but I thought I was going to maybe change it because of 9th edition. And obviously just getting this big box of stuff. And the fact that the last couple of times I've run Death Company, they haven't been as effective as I want. And I have painted Reavers in a Death Company style as well. But it's annoying. The Reavers are basically assault tactical marines, right? Or assault intercessors, sorry. But the Reavers, they're cheaper in points. Well, I don't know actually, 9th edition. In 8th edition it was 90 points for your 5 Reavers. But, and maybe that included like the grav shoots. But the thing with the Reavers is they're elites, whereas these assault troops now are just troops. So I feel like you can get the same amount of attacks. Maybe Reavers have like 6 more inches on their pistols because they have heavy bolt pistols, but I mean it's really not. It's not going to make them worth taking, I don't think. Alright, so we've got that on. I think the sword is almost dry. But I want to see if I can find something else. I'm going to have a look in the Sanguinary Guard box because, well, that can usually yield something interesting. Obviously we've got Sanguinary Guard shoulder pads. You get a little pouch with like a blood drop hanging off of it, but I don't know where you would fit it. You get these giant wings that go on top of the banner. I wonder if they would fit on the front. Would you be able to? It's like you're basically making it a Mercedes at that point, right? Where it's like there's a giant wing on, there's a giant thing on the front of the car. Maybe I'll save that for a vehicle or something. There isn't really anything smaller in the Sanguinary Guard box. Alright. What's this? Blood Angel Stern Guard Veterans. Not seeing much. I mean, there's a little ammo thing there. There's another little Aquila thing. I mean, unless you stuck that like at an angle and it was on top. I mean, there's purity seals, obviously. So I'm trying to think, if this guy's going to be Death Company, then I think I do have another one of these Death Company shoulder things that would go on there, and that would keep them all sort of unified in that all 3 of them have a shouldery thing. This must have been from my younger days, like years ago, because I would not have left that the clip from the sprue that was on there, and it's pretty horrible. Yeah, you can still see it after scraping that off, so yeah, it's really bad. There's a very good chance we'll use that. Kind of like the idea of like strapping a knife to it, maybe like a knife on his leg, because hey, sometimes a chainsaw just isn't enough, you know, like a knife with a, or it could even be like strapped across the top like that. Does that look cheap? Or lying at the back here, like just a knife. I'm kind of more on board with that. We've got like a massive sword in the put on him, I guess. Yeah, what about like the other thing that I had was massive, but what about this for the front? Like a little gold trim above the guns or something. Or it could even go down here. Could it? Is it a little bit too wide for down there? Balls. Yeah, and I guess he would end up shooting it with his own guns. So that would be great. Alright, then we're kind of out of options. We do have one option, I suppose, which is this. Because it's been sprayed before, I'm just going to peel off a little bit of the paint. That way it'll stick better. Like I said, this glue doesn't work very well over paint. Yeah, too much glue as well. So yeah, a bit of kitchen roll is like priceless to get rid of excess glue, because it just makes a mess. And just keeping the glue level down if you can. Alright, and then we're going to try and finally stick this arm on, because I think it'll be dry. Don't drop the knife. I think that's, do you know what, I'll put a little bit in there as well. But I think that's probably all it's going to need. This is going to be very delicate. And I drop it. Great. Oh, there we go. Oh, you're joking me. I missed a... After getting that all right, I missed a damn... So I'm just going to try and take this off ever so gently, and maybe just have to go over it a bit more, because... it's really bad. And if the storage stays stuck on after all this, then I guess we've got a good connection. Because normally when you try and do this shit after you've done some modifications, you always end up breaking your modification. I'm not happy with it. I have got sandpaper. maybe I can just get... Right, I think we're almost there with it. I've just seen one on this sword as well, you've got to be shitting me. Right, it's coming off. I can't be doing with that. It's my own stupid fault. And we got overexcited. Probably got overexcited just because it stuck so well. So this is going to be even harder to stick back on now, I guess, probably. I mean, it's not the greatest because the wing thing is underneath the sword and the blood drop is underneath the sword, but I mean we'll paint under there and I mean it should still look reasonably cool. I mean I think it'll look cooler than just if it was a non-faction based sword. And then oh, before I put glue in there, let's see if we can see what his helmet might look like. Yeah, so again I think he's going to be looking a tiny bit to the left, like he's running into Chainsword or someone. Just make sure he's quite up the way so no, he's not like looking down. And yeah, this has been the most disappointing of the three, you know. I mean, we got Aquila on, and we got the wing on the shoulder, but I mean, I was pleased with the chainsword attaching, but in hindsight, because it's underneath, it's not as impressive as it would have been if it was on the other way. That's got me wondering, was there a chainsword that faced the other way? Because we could fix it, or we could do it. This chainsword has blood drops on it. I feel like at some point I just bought off eBay a bunch of Blood Angels chainswords as well. Would blood drops be better, I guess? I think we're going to leave it. I mean, I was really pleased with how it went on. Okay, so I mean, I guess that's how we convert to Primaris Outriders to be more Blood Angels. So a little bit more. And then the other one. So I think what I'll do next is I'm going to spray these, and then I will show you how I go about painting Death Company, because we love Death Company colours. Yeah, so let's cut to these, and we'll see them sprayed now. So then the other two bikers. So these are the other two Primaris Outriders. So these are two sprayed Primaris Outriders, both with little bits of conversions. This one here had a new sword added to him with the little winged bit. This added to the back, and he had just a wing put on his shoulder. And a different head, obviously, sort of a wreathed head, because he's going to be quite a senior figure in the army. Yeah, looks very cool. Sprayed really well too. And then the last biker was, he actually got a sanguinary priest arm put on him with a Death Company shoulder pad, another wing, another like little emblem thing, and then he got a helmet like he was in communication. One of them, I mean, in the Death Company maybe not, but they're not fully Death Company guys, so one of them needs to be in communication with comms and finding out where they need to go. So yeah, all three bikers turned out really nicely, and I'll be doing a video on how you can paint those in Death Company colours and how you can make it look good, but also how you can make it look good as a newbie. So no crazy techniques, nothing too insane. Alright, great. Thanks very much for watching. If you stayed to the end, it's much appreciated. Please thumbs up, please subscribe, and if you are a real Blood Angels player, please check out some of the other videos on the channel.